just to kind of get people to come in. All right, for those of you who are going to be tuning in, this is Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, and we are going to be talking about some life-saving information like we do every single week. So I encourage you to come in. When you come in, like, share the video, and invite others in on the video. Hello, Patricia. How are you? Come on in. We're going to be talking about what's up, Doc. I have a doctor in the house today, and we're going to be talking about the elephant in the room, stuff that we don't like to talk about, but stuff that can save our lives. So make sure you tune in, share the video with everybody. So I'll give everybody a chance to come in before we go live. We're going live in like 1 minute, less than 1 minute. These headphones make me look like I got an afro. That's funny. Okay. Let's see if I can get this to stay. All right, it's 7 o'clock, people. We're about to get started. Like and share the video. Hey, Carrie. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys had an amazing weekend and that you are enjoying this beautiful weather. Warriors Talk is getting ready to go live. I hope you guys can hear me fine. Hey, Nicola. How are you? Thank you so much for purchasing the book. I appreciate you. Your book should be to you soon. All right. You ready? Mm-hmm. Can you guys hear us? Let me know if you guys can hear us fine. Thank you, Nicola. Hello, hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. I am so excited you have chosen to tune in today on this Motivational Monday. Today's show is actually being sponsored by Sisters Working It Out. They are health advocacy in motion, and they are always looking for health advocates actually to go out in the community with them and tell everyone about cancer. So if you want to be an advocate and you want to educate those in the community, then you need to go to sistersworkingitout.org and get more information. Now, I encourage you to stay connected with me on all forms of social media. All you need to do is just type in @WarriorsTalk1. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, as well as Twitter. Everything is @WarriorsTalk1. You can email me at warriorstalk1@gmail.com. To stay up to date on all events, just go to warriorstalk.org. I also encourage you to follow me on YouTube. If you follow me on YouTube, just type in Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. You can get a free t-shirt for the next person who actually subscribes to my channel. This show is dedicated to men. This is actually, June is actually Men Health Awareness Month, and we know that men do not like to go to the doctor. They just don't. And so what I want us to do, women, is encourage our men on this month, well, really every month, but for the month of June, since it's Men Health Awareness Month, is to encourage the men in our lives to go to the doctor and get checked out. They are the head of our households, and our households do not work without them. So make sure that you stay on top of them so they can stay on top of their health. Our healing verse is coming from Proverbs 27:22, and it reads, "A cheerful heart brings good healing, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hello, Dina Morgan. How are you? Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Make sure that you like and share the video again so that others will get this information. We have a special show today, and it is titled actually, "What's Up, Doc?" And we're going to be talking about the elephant in the room, because we know that not just men don't like to go to the doctor, but we women, as women, we put it off too. We take care of any and everybody else before we take care of ourselves. And in order for us to take care of someone else, we need to make sure that we are well. And so my special guest today is Terri Washington M.D., and she is joining us so that she can give us some empowering information that could possibly save our lives. So welcome to the show, Terri. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and fill us in. And so that those who do have questions can actually, you can put it in the thread, or you can call in at 312-754-4333. Now we're going to be talking about What's Up, Doc? And Terri actually has a book out, and it's called The Elephant in the Room. So we want to make sure that we cover some of the topics in the book. Hello, Beulah. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. Beulah is actually Sisters Working It Out that I was talking about at the beginning, and they are one of my sponsors. So hello, Beulah. How are you? And so Terri Washington, just let us know really quick who Terri is.
So I'm a board certified endocrinologist. I've been in private practice for 8 going on 9 years. And a lot of people don't know what an endocrinologist is. So basically that means I'm a hormone doctor. So I deal with all issues having to do with hormones. The most common problem that I deal with is diabetes. But even female hormone problems, male hormones, I deal a lot with nutrition because that's very important when it comes to diabetes and weight loss. That's kind of the basics of being healthy, particularly when it comes to diabetes, and also thyroid problems. I'm from the Chicago area. I grew up here, went away to college at Xavier University of Louisiana, and came back from medical school at Loyola here in Chicago, and then did the rest of my training at the University of Chicago. So I'm pretty much been in the Chicago area all of my life. And one of the things that I enjoy doing, besides, being a doctor, is teaching people, talking about like health and giving people information that they can use to try to make their lives better.
Wow, that's an impressive resume. And she's young from what you can see. I like to see young doctors and doctors that look like me. So I love to see that. So again, I thank you for coming out. And again, we're talking about What's Up, Doc? So if you have any questions for her, you already heard her resume, so you know exactly what she's working with. You can call in and get the 411 on that subject. And the title of her book is called The Elephant in the Room. So if you want to get her book, you can. And she's talking about actually the ultimate guide to weight loss and healthy living. We talk about that all the time on the show. So you guys can go to, how can they get this book?
So the book is available on Amazon. You can find it at Amazon.com. We also have a website, the Ultimate Guide to Weight Loss Book.com, where it has a link to the Amazon account. But if you just Google it or go to Amazon and type in The Elephant in the Room and type in my name, Terri Washington, it should pop up.
And I got my book free today. So thank you. So thank you. What I'll do is I'll also post it on my page, and I'll post a link so you guys can, it'll be easy. You don't have to go searching for it. So I'll do that for you today. So I just want to go over some of the different titles that she had in the book that I think we all may have questions on. And we all talk about our weight, being overweight. And we know that weight gain and weight loss, it contributes to different diseases.
Yes.
Whether we want to believe it or not, it really does. And as much as we'd like to fight it, it does. And so one of the topics here, this is chapter 2, is talking about obesity. So it says, what is it, and what causes it, or what is the cause? So what is obesity?
So obesity is basically the state of having too much fat. So fat is a storage tissue, but until more recently, we didn't realize that it did much more than just store energy as fat. It actually produces hormones, and when you have too much fat or obesity, it produces hormones that affect you in a negative way. And that's part of the reason why obesity causes so many diseases. It leads to like inflammation. It makes you more prone to develop high blood sugar, more prone to develop high cholesterol, which can lead to heart attack and stroke, which is actually the number one cause of death in this country. And in general, it takes a major toll on the body. It puts more stress on your joints when you walk. And actually, a lot of people don't realize obesity is a risk factor for different types of cancer, a number of cancers, and that's independent of anything else such as smoking or alcohol. And so obesity, in the simplest terms, is simply having too much fat.
Wow. So I know sometimes they say obesity and then they'll say obese. So is it like a different scale or is it just a different name?
So obesity and being obese, they're just adjectives. They basically mean the same thing, but they are scales or ranges of being obese. So a lot of times when you go to the doctor, they measure your weight and they ask you your height. That's so they can measure your BMI. So that's the measure or ratio of your height to your weight. And there's a scale. So if you are between 18 and 24, that's considered normal. 25 to 30 is considered overweight. Anything greater than 30 is considered obese. And then you have scales of being obese. So the higher the number, the more severe the obesity.
Okay, now you know the African American community, they always say, we don't go by those scales because those scales are not for us. They for more like the Caucasian, people, and our people tend to be a little heavier on the heavier scale.
So, that's interesting that you bring that up because I talk to my patients sometimes and I have to tell them because a lot of times, say you are overweight or obese and you lose weight, then your family and your friends are asking you what's wrong. They tell you look like you're sick.
Yes.
Or, they think you have a problem or something like that. But I think over time we have developed our view of what's normal has been shifted because obesity has increased over the decades. And so what we think is normal tends to be people who are more overweight. And so that kind of puts more pressure on people when they're actually trying to lose weight. And they're trying to be healthier because then you get this negative feedback from your family. But what the BMI really is, it's just to give you an idea of what your risk is. Because the more weight you carry, the more you are at risk for developing diabetes, the more you're at risk for high cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, and like I said, it is an increased risk for cancer, arthritis, and a number of other diseases as well.
Okay, so what I didn't know, in the book it says obesity is a chronic disease.
So yes, and it's important that you distinguish obesity as a disease because if you don't, the insurance companies don't feel like it's something that they have to pay for treatment for.
Okay, I see what you're saying when they want to get the weight loss surgeries.
Weight loss surgery. There's medications available for obesity nowadays. There's like 5 medicines on the market available now when even just maybe like 6 years ago, there was maybe 1 or 2 medicines available. Now we have 5 medicines to kind of help people treat because the thing is, we always, as doctors, tell people they need to lose weight and they need to work on what they eat. But what we don't talk to people about is that doing that is actually very difficult.
Yes.
It's very difficult to make those changes. And even if you try and cut back and you try and exercise more, a lot of times it's hard to maintain and you end up gaining weight back. And that's one of the things that we talk about in the book, The Elephant in the Room, is why it's so hard for people to lose weight and keep the weight off. And part of that reason is because your body wants to be at a certain weight at a certain level. It feels comfortable at that level. When you start to cut back on your intake and you start to exercise and burn off more calories, then the body is like, hey, what's going on? I'm losing too much calories. So it actually increases certain hormones that make you more hungry and make you want to eat. And the other thing is people always ask me, how can I increase your metabolism? When you lose weight, your metabolism, which is how many calories you burn, how much your body actually burns, energy it burns, slows down. And a lot of people don't realize that. So when you lose weight, in order to maintain that weight or lose more, you have to cut down even more or exercise more. So that's part of the reason why it's so difficult. Your medications can't help that. And so that comes back to when you say that obesity is a disease or a chronic disease, when you give it that label, then that puts the onus on, okay, this is something that we need to focus on. This is something that we need to treat, and we need to have options available for people to give them so that they can work on this and help treat them. Like if you have high blood pressure, there's so many medications out there to treat blood pressure. or even diabetes. The number of medicines for diabetes has exploded in the past 10 years.
Wow.
But until recently, there wasn't really this focus on obesity or weight loss because you tend to think of it, oh, it's just a matter of willpower. When actually there's a little bit more to it.
Oh my goodness. See, I didn't know all that before today. What did she say?
Is visceral fat more dangerous to our health? So that's actually an excellent question. So yes, so when I talk about fat and obesity, it does matter where the fat is. So you have subcutaneous fat. That's the fat that sits right under the skin. That's fat that tends to be more in the hips and the thighs. Visceral fat is the fat that's in the middle that surrounds the organs, okay? And when I was talking about how fat can produce hormones, the visceral fat is the fat that produces those hormones and causes inflammation that actually gives you those negative consequences or problems that come from being overweight or obese. So yes, visceral fat is more dangerous.
Wow, that was a great question. Hello, Carol. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking to Terri Washington M.D. and our topic for today is What's Up, Doc? And we're talking about the elephant in the room. Some of those things that we don't like to talk about when it comes to our health. And so she was just breaking down obesity, and I just found out that obesity is a chronic disease. So now we know. It's always good to be in the know. And so we know that a lot of things come with obesity. A lot of people sometimes they overeat because they're stressed out. And so you have stress and weight gain. Sometimes it goes hand in hand.
So yes, today we have like very busy lifestyles. A lot of the jobs that we do are sedentary. We sit at a desk. But during like evolution, when you were out there and you had to forage for yourself and find food, you were burning off calories all the time, and food wasn't readily available. Right now, you can just walk outside. You don't even have to walk outside anymore. You can order up food to your door or to your exactly. Or to your job. So you're not spending any energy trying to get the food that you need. And when you have stress increases certain hormones. In particular, one that we talk about in the book is cortisol. Cortisol is that adrenaline or that fight or flight hormone.
Yes.
And so when you get stressed, cortisol levels increase and it prepares your body for that fight or flight. And one of the things that it does is it helps you to like mobilize the energy so that if you have to run, you can run. And it increases like your sugar levels so that you have energy available, increases your blood pressure. But it's not like we getting chased by tigers, so we have to run away and we burn off all these calories. We get stressed, but we sitting there and we're not burning off calories. And one of the side effects of cortisol, and anybody who's ever taken prednisone or steroids knows this, is that it increases your appetite. So you get stressed, your cortisol levels go up, appetite goes up, you tend to eat more, and we tend to grab for the wrong things, sugary or salty things, but you're not burning it off. And so stress can affect weight, and it makes us less likely to focus on the things that are healthier. We want to grab the things that are quick and easy. And so stress, physiologically can be bad if you have too much of it, as it increases the hormones. And as far as like a lifestyle, it tends to make us focus on the things that are fast, quick, easy, processed, and not necessarily healthy.
Wow, you said that the bad word, process. And I try to tell people I'm vegan, so I don't eat meat. But I try to tell people that processed meat is linked to cancer.
It is, and actually red meat is linked to cancer as well, particularly colon cancer.
Wow.
So yes, and every day it seems like I see another article that talks about if you eat more of foods that are higher in vegetables and vegetarian proteins and less based on animal protein and animal fat, people who have less inflammation, they tend to live longer and tend to be healthier in general.
Wow. See, and that was my number one thing was like, I want to be healthier, so I don't want to be putting trash in my body, because you put trash in, then trash comes out. So I'm looking under chapter 4, which is stress and weight gain, and it says it is important to remember that external factors cause internal responses, and if you are dealing with excessive amounts of stress, realize that your body is working hard in response to that stress. Wow. So we have to cut down the stress, and some of the ways to cut down stress is exercising.
Exactly. Exercise is great.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps you burn off those calories. And after you exercise, you actually feel better when you do it on a regular basis.
You do. And one of the things that I've been doing lately is walking. My thing is walking. I walk all day. And so I've been getting at least maybe 15,000 steps a day.
That's great.
Yes, so I'm really excited about that. I have my Fitbit, and my Fitbit actually counts my steps for me. And so it motivates me. But I read somewhere that they did a study on some people had a Fitbit and some that didn't. And ones that didn't have a Fitbit, they actually lost more weight. I don't know if it's because, they were constantly, checking the Fitbit and worried about it, or the other people were just going about their day and just making, healthier choices. But to me, with the Fitbit, it keeps me on my toes. It does keep me on my toes and say, hey, it also reminds me, so I have reminders set on the Fitbit. So to say, hey, time to move, or hey, give me 240 steps. And so I know to keep moving so I won't have that sedentary lifestyle.
I have a Fitbit too, and I think it's good, especially for people who have a sedentary lifestyle and they aren't very motivated to move. It can get you started,
Yes.
It can make you become motivated, and then you have challenges you can do with other people. So that makes you like, okay, I got to get my steps in. And so I haven't seen that study, but what I would think about is the people who did it on their own were probably very motivated to do it.
Yes.
And so for people who not that motivated, I think the Fitbit is probably still a great tool.
Yeah, I think so, because it keeps track of a lot of things, not just your steps. It keeps track of how much water you drink, and then you can put in there like, I want to lose this amount of weight, and it'll keep track of that. It even keeps track of you sleeping and your restless hours. It'll say you have 14 minutes of restless sleep. I'm like, how did you know that? That's kind of scary. Like, what? But yeah, I'm not advocating for Fitbit. They're not giving me any money or anything, but it's a great tool to have. Even if you have something on your phone, it also keeps track of your steps on your phone too. Just another tool that we can add to our tool belt. And so you talk about, what does my blood sugar have to do with my weight?
So the sugar and weight, like I said, diabetes and being obese, especially for type 2, which is the most common form of diabetes, is very much linked. So when people lose weight, their sugar is better. When people gain weight, their sugar is worse. And part of that comes back to the visceral fat that we mentioned. So that visceral fat makes you more insulin resistant. Your pancreas makes insulin. And insulin is the hormone that helps your tissues take up sugar and use the sugar. Okay? And what happens is when you have more this fat develop, the tissues don't respond as well to the insulin. It takes more insulin. The pancreas has to put out more insulin to keep the sugar under control. And eventually, if it keeps going that way, it's going to reach a point where the pancreas can't keep up and put out enough insulin to keep your sugar at a normal level. And that's when the sugars start to rise and you become pre-diabetic and then diabetic. And so the weight and the diabetes are very much linked in that way. And that's why changing the diet and exercise and losing weight for a lot of people actually makes a difference. And I actually have had some people who've been able to come off medicine by just changing their lifestyle.
I've heard that, and I've actually seen it. I've seen it. This one lady, she had the surgery, and once she had that surgery, she's like, "Oh, I'm not a diabetic anymore." I'm like, "What did you do?" So, people need to know that it's important that when you do lose the weight, there are positive consequences to your hard work.
Not only that, you actually feel better.
You do. Because doing my 15,000 steps a day, I feel much better. I have more energy to do what I need to do. I've noticed that lately I've been getting more sleep. And so I've been moving more, resting more, because you got to give your body a chance to recuperate from, whatever you're doing throughout the day. And I think sometimes we even forget about that as well. Is that giving, although you want to exercise and you want to be healthy, but you still got to give your body a chance to recuperate too.
And I'm glad that you mentioned sleep, because that's something that I actually talk about in the book as well. It's on page 76. There are actually these charts from the CDC, and it talks about like it has a map of sleep insufficiency, like the states where you have people who don't get as much sleep versus like the number of hours of sleep. And then next to it is a map of obesity. And what you can kind of see if you overlap the two, the places where people don't sleep that much are also the same states where you have higher levels of obesity.
Wow.
And so that's one thing that people kind of don't know as well, is that sleep is important for your health. So you do need sleep. It helps you recover. And sleep is actually, not getting enough sleep, I should say, is actually linked to weight gain. They've done studies where they looked at that people who sleep the less tend to gain more weight.
Wow. So get more sleep and you can lose some of the weight, keep the weight off. Because we know some people can lose it. Well, I want to talk about that when we come back. About how some people can lose the weight really fast, but then they can't for some reason. They can't keep it off. And I don't know if it has to do with some of these fad diets that are going around and you hop on them, you do this detox, and you lose the weight really quick, and then you see them a couple months later and you're like, girl, hey. You don't want to say what happened. So we'll talk about that when we come back. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to listen to the Georgia Mass Choir and Come On in the Room. Okay, Facebook, so we're on break so that Urban Broadcast Media can hear the song. So you guys are not going to hear the song, but you can also ask questions. Hey, David. Hey, Rhonda. Hey, you guys, if you haven't already shared this video, please share the video. I'm going to try to invite other people's in. Did we miss any questions? Did you see any other questions on here? Make sure. Hey, Henry. I hope you guys are enjoying this information. Let me see if I can invite other people in on this video. If you haven't invited anybody in, if you want to share any other information while we're on break, you can. I'm trying to see if I can invite anybody else in. I think I saw Henry on here. There's two of them.
So I would love to answer any questions if people have any questions.
Okay, you guys, we need questions. I know everybody out there is hopefully everybody is healthy and living their best life. But if you are not and you have questions and you need and you need some help, then here's your chance to tune in and get it straight out of your mouth. So just give me a second. I'm just inviting other folks in on the video. People that I think that's Charles out there. Okay. That should be enough. Everybody else can do their own thing. Hey, how you doing? If y'all have any questions for Terri, please post your questions. We're talking about What's Up, Doc, and she's talking about the elephant in the room, the ultimate guide to weight loss and healthy living. And she was covering diabetes, and we know that diabetes is so prevalent in the African American community. We do know that. I know in my family, it does run in my family. My grandmother and my grandfather on my mom's side had it. My mom has it. And let me say, my mom she's doing so well with hers. She actually was able to be taking off some of her medicine because she's eating healthy, she's walking, and she's keeping her numbers down. And so those are some things that, other people can do. You can encourage other people to do is, we don't have to have a diabetes diagnosis. There are things that you can do to either prolong it or not to get it at all. So we're here, she's here actually, to educate you guys on what you can do. Now, I have a daughter that was diagnosed in November with type 1 diabetes. And I know with type 1 diabetes, it's totally different. You know, it's your pancreas stops working or it's not working enough to where it can give you that insulin that you need. So she has to have insulin with her food. Whatever she eats, she has to have insulin. She's counting carbs and everything. You know, she's only 11, so it took her, you know, this was a lifestyle change for her.
Right.
You know, and I try to explain to other people because, you know, whenever somebody finds out she have it, they always say, oh, you need to watch what you eat. You can't eat no sweets. You can't do this and you can't do that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you got to watch what you eat, but it's different from type 1. And I think some people get the two of them. When you just say diabetes, they think, oh, you know, everything is surrounded around food, weight gain, or weight loss.
So the difference between type 1 and type 2 is exactly what you said. People who have type 1 diabetes, their pancreas doesn't work. They don't make any insulin. They have to have insulin, otherwise they will die. People who have type 2 diabetes have more insulin resistance. So their pancreas still makes some insulin. It just doesn't make enough to keep their sugar under control. But they're not going to go into a diabetic coma most likely. And if they don't have insulin, they're not going to waste away and kind of die from that. So type 1, in some ways, is a more serious disease because you can't go without insulin. Whereas type 2, they don't necessarily have to take insulin. And if they do use insulin, they wouldn't necessarily end up in the hospital because of it. And so, yeah, when it comes to diabetes, education is probably the biggest, most important thing. We all probably even know someone who had diabetes or experienced it. And that's, you know, part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because the same way a lot of people in my family had diabetes, especially on my father's side, and they developed heart attacks, and a lot of them died from that. And I said, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to go that way. And so I try to eat healthy and exercise 4 to 5 times a week so that I won't develop type 2 diabetes, because I know based on my genetics and my family history, I'm at risk for it. But a lot of people don't realize when it comes to diabetes, it's a very difficult disease to deal with. It's very involved. You have to check your sugar, especially type 1. You're supposed to check it 3 to 4 times a day. And if you're a teenager or 11, preteen, you don't want to do that because you don't want to be different from the other kids.
That's true.
And they don't want to have to take the insulin shots and pull out the insulin, you know, while they're at school, because that makes them stand out and be different from the other kids. And so having diabetes, you know, at a young age is a very difficult thing to deal with, because you have to deal with the psychosocial part of it too as well. But even as an adult, it comes like you get busy. You have meetings. You don't have time to check your sugar. You might forget to take your medicine before your meal if you're supposed to take it before the meal. Or you might come home and you're tired and you just want to eat and fall asleep, and then you forget to take your medicine. And we do ask a lot of people who have diabetes. It takes a lot to keep it controlled. And so that's why if you don't have it, or if you're in the pre-diabetes stage, prevention is a big thing to try to keep yourself from getting it. And there's one, I brought some statistics from the ADA, like as of 2015, 9% of the people in the country had type 2 diabetes, and that was about 30 million people. Wow. But when it comes to pre-diabetes, so the people who have their sugars a little bit elevated, but it's not high enough to call it diabetes, that's 83, 84 million people in this country. Whoa. And the majority of them, probably 80 million, don't even know that they have it.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes. When you look at those numbers, it's like,
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of staggering, because you're like, who knew? And if you don't go to the doctor, you don't get tested because you don't like to go to the doctor. You don't want to hear them tell you that there's something wrong with you. Right. You're not going to know until it gets to the point where you get sick and you have no choice to go to the doctor.
And that's the scary part, that you get sick, and sometimes we be in denial. And the way that I knew she was sick is because she kept urinating and she kept drinking water, and she's like, "Ma, I think something is wrong." And I watched her that night, and I was like, I can't play with this. I took her right to the doctor because I knew we're coming back, you guys, because I knew diabetes ran in my family. And we are back. This is Lady ReShell I, Warriors Talk here. And we know that we move away from awareness towards action. And we are talking about What's Up, Doc? The elephant in the room. And we're talking about the ultimate guide to weight loss and healthy living. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hello, Facebook. I have Terri Washington here, M.D., and she's giving us a 411 on, we're talking about obesity, we're talking about stress, we're talking about weight gain, we're talking about diabetes. And so I hope that you all that are tuning in have already liked and shared this video so that everyone can get this information, so that they can make the adjustments in their life, so they can live a long life, they can live their best life. Hello, Elena. She's saying she's proud of Kayla, which is my daughter that is 11, who's going, she has type 1 diabetes. Hey, Angela. She says, hey, Warriors Time. Hello, you guys. So we are back, and Terri was just giving us some statistics. And these statistics are alarming when it comes to diabetes. There are 83 million people walking around that are pre-diabetic that don't know that they're diabetic. And that's scary. And the one thing you don't want to do is get sick and go to the hospital and then they tell you you have diabetes. But you want to be able to start taking measures yourself so that you can, like I said before, you may prolong it or you may your chances of getting it all together. So we talk about prevention. And the one thing that I try to move away from is awareness, because awareness to me, awareness don't save lives. We talk about aware. I mean, we always aware, but what do you do with the awareness? What do you do? So I'm all about action. I'm all about this movement of action. And prevention is one of those things. When you're preventing, you're taking action. You're doing something about it. And prevention does what? It does save lives, because you're taking those necessary steps in your life so that you won't have to have that diagnosis. And like you said, diabetes comes with a lot of other things. It's a complicated disease. It really is, when you get into the heart of studying about diabetes. And I kind of knew about it because my mom she's going through it. But when I found out it's a totally different type, my mom's type 2, my daughter's type 1. So we talked about that, you guys. If you missed it, we talked about, she broke down type 1 and type 2. Type 1 was called juvenile diabetes, but it's really not. No.
Well, it used to be called juvenile diabetes, but really type 1 you can develop at any age. If type 1 is what we call autoimmune diabetes. So autoimmune, that means it's a problem where your body attacks itself. In the case of type 1 diabetes, your body makes these antibodies which attacks the islet cells in your pancreas. Those are the cells that produce insulin. Okay, and that you can get at any age. Most commonly, it develops in younger children, people in their 20s, but actually nowadays I've been diagnosing more adults in their 30s and even some in their 40s with type 1 diabetes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I actually had a patient I was following for a couple of years for type 2 diabetes, and sugar just would not be controlled, and finally we figured out he turned into a type 1.
Is that, I mean, I thought that was impossible though. I thought if you were type 2, it's just not linked to type 1.
So it's not that common, but it can happen. So it's just like allergies, how you can develop an allergy at any age. You can develop this disease at any age if you develop these antibodies, which can attack it, which attack the pancreas.
Wow. So at any age, so I always say cancer don't discriminate, and we're finding out that diabetes don't either. It doesn't just affect African Americans. We do know that because I know many other races or ethnicities that do have it, but we do know that with African Americans, for some reason, our numbers are high. They're alarming.
Yeah, so I have some numbers about that for you. So when it comes to adults diagnosed with diabetes based on ethnicity, 7.4% of whites or Caucasians have it in this country. Asian Americans is 8%. Hispanics are just behind. Not Hispanic blacks at 12.1%, and blacks are 12.7%. And then the group that it affects the highest is actually your Native American Indians.
Yes. Wow. Why is that?
So it's probably a couple of things. You know, part of it is probably genetics, and then another part is lifestyle and having certain foods available to you, like having healthy foods available to you. Because if you live in an area where all you have around you is like McDonald's or Wendy's or Popeyes and this fast food, and you don't have a lot of good, healthy grocery stores, like luckily we have Mariano's over here in Bronzeville now.
Yeah.
Before that, it wasn't that much.
Food desert.
Right,
Yeah.
you have your food desert. That your environment. So diabetes partly is genetic and partly is your environment.
Because we have food that's available, that's accessible. No, available, but the healthy food is not accessible because they're not in those grocery stores in our neighborhoods. So the stores like Margiano's, people are flocking to those stores because they have a lot of different, and even what's the other store? Pete's.
Yes.
It's Pete's too. They have, when I went in Pete's, oh my goodness, they have
produce section.
It's amazing and it's colorful.
Yes.
It's like you have a lot of different choices and a lot of healthy choices. And so I encourage you to go to those type of stores where you can get stuff that's fresh.
And I'm glad you mentioned colorful, because this is one tip that I like to give people. Like, somebody asks you, how do I eat healthy? Where do I start? You want to eat a rainbow.
Oh, wow.
So you want to, vegetables, fruits, different colors, different kinds. That way, you're getting different nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So just remember, eat a rainbow. So not just like greens, oranges, things, squash, things that are yellow, sweet potatoes, carrots, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. You want things that a variety of things that you're getting a lot of good nutrients when you eat a variety of things.
Wow, so eat a rainbow. I like that. So you talk about on chapter 6 an individual approach to weight loss. So that would be like what you just talked about, the different selections like eating a rainbow it would aid in weight loss if you're making the healthy choices. So do you help individuals when they come in your office and they sit down? Because we always fuss about doctors. We only have like 15 minutes and y'all be rushing us out of y'all office. Y'all be rushing us out of y'all office, and we get out and be like, I forgot to ask this question. Write your questions down or record them before you go.
That's a good thing. Write the question down before you come in, so then we can address it.
Yes. Do you find that you have time to sit with them and put together an individual approach to weight loss, or is that something that you work with them as far as with their diabetes?
So both. Okay. So I have patients who come for diabetes, and I will talk to them about weight if I think that that's part of their issue and their diet. I have people who come just for weight loss, and then I have people who come for both issues. So if they have two different things, sometimes, if the diabetes is more pressing, we'll talk about that first, and I'll bring them back another time to talk more in depth about the weight loss and what they can do for weight loss. But when we talk about like a personalized approach, it's because, we aren't like all one size fits all.
Is it evidence-based? Like whatever evidence you have working with another person, you try to implement that with someone?
So there are some things that are evidence-based when it comes to like kind of giving people an idea how many calories they should stay in, how many times they should exercise a week. But personalized is, I sit down and ask people, what do they typically eat in a day? And then I talk to them about, well, what do you like to eat and what don't you like to eat, and try to come up with things that they would be willing to work on, or changes that they would be willing to make in terms of things that they like to eat. Because I can tell people to cut down, eat, and give you a set thing, this, and this. But if you don't like it and you feel like you're eating the same thing all the time, you're not going to stick to it.
No. Do you find that people have a hard time, like if you try to get them to do a diary, like write down what you eat, do you find that they have a hard time doing that, or do you find that they are really surprised when they write down exactly what they have been eating?
So sometimes I ask people to do it and I get nothing back. But when people do it, usually I ask them to do it for at least a couple of days, no longer than a week.
Okay.
And when people do it, yes, they actually are surprised by what they see. Because when you write down what you eat, you can see, oh, I actually was eating more than I thought I was eating. Or, oh, I had that ice cream, and then I had that cake because it was somebody's birthday, and I had tacos because it was Taco Tuesday.
Yes.
And it just makes you more aware of what you're taking in, and then you can figure out, oh, well, this is kind of, and that's where I kind of help people. I can point out, like, well, you see this is where you can kind of make some changes. Like, people may not realize they have like 2 pieces of toast, some eggs, or some yogurt and granola, and they're like, oh, I'm eating healthy. But one of the things, particularly with insulin resistance, diabetes, and obesity, is watching the carbs. Like, those are things that we all love.
Yes.
And we tell people whole grains, which are great for you, but if you have diabetes and problems with your sugar, it doesn't matter if it's white bread or wheat bread, it's still going to affect your sugar. And so it gives me an opportunity to kind of point these things out to people and just kind of give them education and help people see what kind of changes they can make.
Now, do you recommend no bread?
No, I recommend people watch the portions.
Okay.
So you need some carbs. I never tell anybody to do like Atkins or no carb diet or these paleo, a lot of these fad diets, because you will lose weight with those. But when they look at studies where they compare all these different diets, you lose more weight initially, like with Atkins and this kind of stuff. But when you look at it 6 months out, their weight is about the same as the people who cut down, who did like low carb or low fat versus no carbs, no fat. It all comes to about the same. And you never want to totally cut out a whole food group, because your body needs some carbs. That's what you run off of. Your brain needs sugar. That's what your brain works off of. You just don't need too much of it. So what I really try to stress for people is picking healthier options and portion control. Because if you can never have the stuff that you like, you're going to be miserable. So you can have a little bit. You just don't want to go overboard. Now, if you tell me, okay, I just love chocolate and I can't have one little square of chocolate, then I'm going to tell you to leave it alone. Don't buy it. But, people who tell me, oh, I have cravings for sweets, I just love sweets. One of the things I tell them, dark chocolate is actually pretty good for you.
Love it.
It has a lot of actually nutrients, flavonoids, things that are healthy for you. So I tell them, get the little squares, and you have like 1 or 2 of those, and a lot of times that satisfies your craving.
It does. I'm telling you, if you eat dark chocolate, you won't go back to milk chocolate, because it's just a totally different taste. It really is. So what do you say? Okay, so we're talking about weight loss, so we're talking about weight gain, and I've noticed like some people that do these fad diets, and you talk about the Atkins diet. What do you think about like the detoxes and stuff like that, like as far as it relates to weight gain or weight loss? And permanently, because you want something that's permanent. You don't want something that 6 months down the line, I'm back at the same weight that I thought I lost.
So a detox is not going to give you any permanent weight loss.
But are you losing nutrients? Like
it depends on the kind of detox. So if you're doing just some of these fad things where it's like water, some apple cider vinegar, lemon, and honey, and cayenne pepper, and that's all you're taking, you losing water weight and you're breaking down muscle. You're not losing fat.
Oh.
Because you're not giving your body enough calories. Oh. So I generally don't recommend people do things like that. Now, if people want to detox and say, I'm going to eat just like fruits and vegetables and maybe just cut down on meat, eat meat on the weekend or something, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
And then the thing is to, if you're doing the detox because you want to kind of jumpstart and get things going and then work on changing the lifestyle and eating healthier, I don't really have a problem with that. But if you're trying to do it for a quick fix for weight loss, you're not going to be that successful in the end overall.
So we need to start trying to cut corners. Basically, we try to cut corners with losing weight. If you do it the right way, portion controls, watch what you eat, and selecting healthier choices, and you doing the exercising, and you staying away from the stress, then you're gonna be successful. You're gonna be successful, and it's gonna be permanent. It's not gonna be something that's up and down, up and down. And I've heard people say, "Well, I'm comfortable at this weight. This is the weight that I'm comfortable at." Everybody has their own weight where they're comfortable, and even though they may be a little overweight, they comfortable with where they at. And we know everybody's body is different. So weight on me may be to another person like, "Oh no, that's too much." "Oh no, girl, you need to eat some more."
So if you taller, you can carry more weight. If you're shorter, you can't carry that much weight, especially. And the other thing is, where is the weight? So like earlier, we kind of talked about visceral fat, and one of the things they kind of describe when they talk about health and healthy weight is you look at people's shape. Are they a pear shape? So they're more round, especially in the middle. Sorry, that's the apple shape. So they're more round, especially in the middle, or they a pear, so they're skinny in the middle, wide on the bottom. So the middle, that's more that visceral fat, the fat in the middle. That's the problem. People who have more the pear shape, that's more that subcutaneous fat in the hips and thighs. That's less likely to give you issues as far as developing diabetes and cholesterol and high blood pressure. So you can be comfortable with your weight. And then the other thing is, where is the weight centered at? Where are you carrying most of your weight? Because if it's in the middle, even though you're comfortable with it, over time it's probably going to give you some issues.
So we have a gut, that's what you said. A beer belly or a gut?
Beer belly, yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. What about love handles? So is that part of? Well, that's the apple, because that's in the middle, right?
It can be the apple. If you can kind of pinch it and feel it, it's probably more than sub-Q fat. If you can't pinch very much and it's kind of harder, then it's probably fat more deeper, that visceral fat.
Ooh, so we are learning something new today. This is What's Up, Doc, and we're talking about the elephant in the room with Terri Washington M.D., the ultimate guide to weight loss and healthy living. I want you to give us some words of wisdom for someone who may be pre-diabetic or maybe a diabetic or may just want to lose weight and just be healthy. Give them some words of wisdom, some encouragement, or some facts.
So my words of wisdom are to stay active and to make sure that you move. And what I usually tell people, it doesn't matter what kind of exercise you do, as long as you do something that you like and you're going to do on a consistent basis, because being consistent is the key. So you will have to do it on a regular basis, ideally most days of the week, 4 to 5 days of the week, and just keep that going, because when you're active, that helps burn up the sugar, it helps burn up the fat, it helps keep you healthy. And then as far as the diet, portion control is the biggest thing. So you want to watch the portions. So it's okay every now and then to have like something fried, but in general you want to stay away from fried foods. And the biggest thing that I see people have issues with, or they don't realize is contributing to weight, is the drinks, what you drink. So sugary beverages, pop, juice is not really healthy. Juice is basically sugar water.
What about 100%? Like if they say 100%?
It doesn't matter. It's a lot of sugar in juice.
Okay, well,
you do better
I don't
off.
Drink juice. I drink water. What about the flavor? You know how you put the flavor in the...
That's okay.
Okay, so those little packets are okay.
Yes.
Great.
Because you're getting mostly the water.
Okay.
But if it's like already prepackaged juice or like the Lipton iced tea or Arizona tea, they put a lot of sugar in there or pop. Like I saw something one time, it showed how much sugar they put in there was like 17, equivalent to like 17 teaspoons in one drink. And what people don't realize, that's empty calories. So you drinking it, you're not getting full off of it. But just if you drink a whole bottle, you just took in like 200 calories.
Wow.
And
wasted.
exactly. And to burn that off, you probably have to do like an hour on the treadmill at moderate intensity. And that's what people kind of don't realize.
Wow. She said, Angela said, what about a muffin top? A muffin top really quickly. What about
So the muffin top, so again, that's kind of in that middle area. So that's not a very desirable area to have fat. So if you notice in that area, then you do want to try to work on that. And one thing people want to know is, how can I lose my stomach? So, and that's the biggest problem area for a lot of people is the stomach. So you can't spot lose weight. So you can't just do crunches or sit-ups to lose weight. When you lose weight, you have to lose it from all over. And like that's why, the exercise is the key, and watching the portions and the calories, what you take in, is key.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Terri M.D, for coming in and sharing the elephant in the room. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post her book online. I'm going to post a link, so those of you who want to get it, again, The Elephant in the Room, you will be able to get your own copy. I got mine free today. So thank you, Facebook, for tuning in. Hey, Mike. Hey, Angela. Great question. Hey, Carlos. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to tune in every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Facebook Live, as well as you can go to urbanbroadcastmedia.com. And remember, in life, you're going to have trials, tribulation. The key is prayer and preparation in advance for what's to come. So, warriors, remember to keep thriving while surviving. See you next week.